Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's a great pleasure that I rise to speak in support of the Local Government Borrowing Bill. Mr. Speaker, this is all about lowering borrowing costs for councils, and it's all about the cooperative approach for that purpose. Estimates are that the provisions outlined in this bill could save local councils around $25 million a year. I'll say that again, $25 million. Perhaps that's a small amount in the context of government's overall budget, but it is a significant amount of money nonetheless. If we have the opportunity to save it, Mr. Speaker, we should. We could. It'll be good. Mr. Speaker, this is just the latest in a string of initiatives by this government which will see cost taxpayers and ratepayers lowered through a cooperative approach. Whether it be the merging of government departments where it makes sense, or providing a way for councils to save costs through cooperative borrowing. This is another initiative of the Minister of Local Government which does so much credit to his position and the way he's approached his tasks. And speaking of a cooperative approach, Mr. Speaker, something I immediately noticed about this bill is that it came from the National-led Government's Job Summit. Mr. Speaker, very early in the term of this government, the Prime Minister took the initiative of inviting over 200 participants to a job summit to work on ideas in a cooperative way. A cooperative way. Well, $25 million worth, Mr. Twyper, $25 million worth. That might not be very important to members of the opposition, but it certainly is to the people who would benefit from it. At the time, we heard endless criticism from the other side of the House, who claimed that it achieved nothing while putting forward no more constructive ideas than simply to spend more, borrow more, and not worry about the consequences. Well, all one can say, Mr. Speaker, to that is, ha! Mr. Speaker, they couldn't be further from the truth, and here we have yet another initiative. So what does it do? Under this bill, cost-effective borrowing will be achieved through the New Zealand Local Government Funding Agency Limited. The agency will operate as a large-scale borrower, borrowing on behalf of councils and then re-lending to them. As is typical of the approach of this national-led government, this bill merely creates the opportunity for councils to make significant savings on their borrowing. It does not mandate councils to borrow in a particular way. It doesn't compel or introduce compulsory aspects. What it does do is recognise the contribution that local councils make to the overall economy and assist them in making economies. The government will provide the opportunity, and if the cooperation from councils is there, if they take up this opportunity in sufficient numbers, the savings will be significant too. If any council for some reason does not wish to borrow through the agency, then, Mr. Speaker, that's their choice. We're not here to tell councils that they must borrow in a certain way. We're not here to tell councils or individuals how they should conduct their business. Some may have long-standing arrangements which are beneficial to them, but it's anticipated that for the vast majority of councils, the savings possible, Mr. Speaker, under this new model of council borrowing will be well worth the switch. They will be led by their wallets. Let's remember that this is not actually about councils so much as it is about ratepayers. Those are the people who will be the beneficiaries, Mr. Speaker. Ultimately, there's no such thing as council money, just as, wait for it, well, from the heart, just as members on the other side of the House eventually have to realise that there's no such thing as government money. It all belongs to individuals.
Say that again,
there is no such thing, let's help the other side of the House, as government money. We're here talking about ratepayers' money or taxpayers' money, and it's a good thing that councils will have the option of taking part of a scheme who keeps their rate increases down. My colleague, Mr. Finlayson, Honourable Mr. Finlayson, Attorney General, I just missed that quote of his, but something about the Stalinist attitude of the other side. Okay. Indeed, but I would encourage all councils to take serious consideration of this opportunity, and I hope many will take it up. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we had a most interesting mineral symposium for the West Coast in Parliament buildings tonight. It really was very, very good. 40 people came up from the West Coast, including 3 local district mayors from the West Coast and regional council representatives. These are small councils with a small rate base. This is exactly the sort of thing that can help them. That's right. And they're here, still in the House, and I would like to acknowledge the presence in the House of Pat McManus, Mayor of Bulla, Tony Cockshorn, famous Mayor of Grey District, and Maureen Pugh, the Mayor of Westland. And I say to them that you can be sure I'll be encouraging them, along with all the other mayors in my electorate, to take this opportunity to make these significant savings provided by a far-sighted local government minister working in conjunction with a far-sighted government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct the party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
42 votes in favour.
Green Party.
9 votes in favour.
ACT New Zealand.
5 votes in favour.
Maori Party.
Tokotore whakaheana.
Progressive.
Sorry, apologies. 1 in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
The Honourable Chris Carter.
1 vote in favour.
Honi Harawira.
1 vote in favour.
Any other votes?
The ayes are 118, the noes are 3. The question is agreed to.
Local Government Borrowing Bill, first reading.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Local Government Borrowing Bill be considered by the Local Government and Environment Committee with an instruction that the committee report finally to the House on or before 1 August 2011, and that the committee have the authority to meet as required at any time while the House is sitting, except during oral questions and during any evening of a day on which there has been a sitting of the House, and on a Friday in a week in which there has been a sitting of the House, despite Standing Orders 187 and 190, 1B and C.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Call Government Order of the Day number 6.
Television